Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways, where we've got a great show in store for you. We're going to do a little documentary on Pat Day to finish the show off. Very interesting, and he's a good, God-fearing man, which will impress a lot of people out there. So nice to have Pat Day on the show. But firstly, let's see what happened last week.
Can Shay win it?
Shay?
Yeah.
He'll finish closer last than first.
Okay, I must kind of watch that leaderboard.
Well,
James, that was your great quote, eh? That was your
can
quote.
we see the picture of who won it?
Yeah, we know who won it.
Yeah, let's see. Have you not got a picture there that you can
go.
show us? There he is, KB Shay, the winner of the Masters. I mean, what a feat.
Yeah.
Because he can't play golf.
He can play golf. He beat all those guys. He beat 100 people. He's a good player.
He beat us all. He beat us all.
But Jim, you were just confident he'd run nearer last.
Well, you know, sometimes it happens. But I would have liked to have seen him pass the spit box.
So you think he was the Leicester City of the golf games?
He certainly was the Leicester City.
Yeah.
But his great mate, Robbie Seville, you know,
Robbie.
I think he's been coaching him. And Robbie's
not good enough to coach.
Robbie's shrewder than they've ever been. You can't believe how shrewd he is. Sure, Robbie never lost a game, okay? So he got into Shay's bag and helped him. And I must say, I was very impressed with KB Shay. He behaved like a gentleman. He's as funny as they come.
He's a star.
I mean, he's an absolute superstar.
And James, how did you play?
I played reasonably.
First day, I believe you're very good.
First day I shot, I think, 14 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second day, 27. I nearly doubled my score.
Did you have to pay out? Did you have to shelve?
You know, I just stood there and waited. Anyone that would have wanted to bet with me, this was their opportunity to get some of the money back that they've lost. No one wanted to bet with me. They heard my handicap and they thought they're not having a bet with me.
What are you playing off
28, 28, yeah.
Off the old tees.
But useless. I mean, off the old man's tees, right at the front.
Did you get across the river?
Yeah, I got across the river both days.
Gee,
I hit it in the.
James,
I hit it in the screws to get it across the river.
When I was getting the photographs and updates, I really missed that tournament. It's great fun.
We missed you, I must tell you. Yeah,
it's such good fun. I saw the bra that one night, and everyone's there, and the singing and the floating golf ball. Yeah. It really looked like it's something you have to do.
It really is. As with a lot of things that we do, you know, like Dubai.
Yes.
And Dubai, unfortunately, is never going to be the same because Mike's not there anymore. But these things are part of our life and our fabric and what makes it such fun being a racing person.
Yeah.
And there are lots of people now who come to this tournament who are not racing people who have the time of their lives. I played with a couple of the casino boys. They were fantastic, great fun, really, really nice people.
It was a very good system this year. You had your team captains. I believe Cape Town were the best team, I believe.
They just beat the Natal boys. It was the reason they beat the Natal boys is your man, Anthony Suhr. I mean, he's got to be the...
He won it last year.
He won it last year. Defending champion. He's got 20 points after 9 holes. He goes and gets his phone from the car. And let me tell you, he had a few aggravations on the phone, which he tried to sort out. He made 6 points the back nine. He cost Natal the trophy. I'm telling you, we go string him up alive when we see him.
I see the Cape boys come in numbers. They're great fun.
Yeah. And Grant Knowles, as usual, always in the firing line. They had a couple of ringers there.
Couple of ex-jocks,
Paddy McGibbon,
good player.
And Kenny Michelle. They came in and rang a bit. Lance Sherrill, we've got an interview with him just now. He's a hell of a good player. Yeah. And he's a hell of a good guy. I mean, is he fun? Lance, a different class. Yeah, listen.
De Kock, was he in form?
The best, as usual, the best. Him and his son saved him on the first night. I mean, saved.
Is that right? Eh?
Yeah. Anyway,
so going from the
nice
best,
that Matthew saved
the best
Michael.
To the worst.
Yeah.
Sharks. Sharking.
I mean,
I can't believe
is it possible?
Is it possible? The team I think they've beat us had lost 3 in a row.
So loose. That's the problem. Loose. Yeah. There's just no structure to their game. Lions got up in the last minute, which was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. What else happened in the sport?
Your favourite motorcyclist?
Marc Marquez won his 50th MotoGP. 50th. He's 26 years old. He's now 4th on the all-time list, just overtaken Mike Hailwood, Mike the Bike.
So you Mike the Bike, eh?
Yeah. And he beat Davizioso. Davizioso must be tired of seeing the back of him.
I think they're all tired. He's just too good.
Yeah. Talking about soccer.
Yeah, the Community Shield went to Man City on penalties. Good game. Shows we're going to have a good league.
Yeah.
Arsenal played out and lost 2-1 to Barca, I think.
Yes, to Barca.
Spurs drew with Inter and lost on penalties. So they've all had their
This
their
week's a big
pre-season.
week. Now, you doing your soccer show again?
Yes, I'm back here on Thursday. The last one standing starts from week 2 because there are 2 guys left from the last league and they've already used 9 teams. 3 have been relegated, so they can only use the 3 that come up and I think 6 other teams. And then the second week, we've already had people paying in and getting ready for last one standing.
That's a great competition.
Great
last man
competition.
standing.
Bragging rights, Jim.
Yeah.
I'll never make the top 12.
Nor me. And we, the 2 clever business, shows you I tipped Shay to run closer last than first.
Yeah, no.
But I've tipped a lot of horses to run closer last than first, and they've won. That's what happened. As far as the rest of the sport was concerned, the only thing that really was fascinating to me, look, England, I mean, they didn't have Jimmy Anderson. And that guy, Ali, is not bowling well.
No, he's averaging since January 16 with the bat. He's going to go.
He's gone. And he wasn't bowling well. He wasn't turning the ball. Nathan Lyon's going to give them a big problem today. Yeah. By the time most people watch the show, we'll see.
A draw or Australia or England, or what do you think?
I think that we've got a problem.
Who's we?
England.
Okay.
You know me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just talking about England, they had the Women's British Open.
Yes.
We had a player there called Ashley Burhai, who was in the lead after 2 rounds.
Yes.
Now, she's a very nice girl and a very good golfer. And I played with her at Swaziland a couple of years ago when she was just starting. Her husband was on the bag. She had someone else on the bag this time. And she was right there, right till the death. She played
she must
really
be a very
nicely.
good player. Who won it?
She finished 5th. The winner was absolutely amazing. An American was leading. Okay, American Salas was her name. Yeah. And this Japanese girl who's 20 years old, first tournament ever out of Japan in the British Women's Open, which is a major. Okay, Hinako Shibuno. She shot 64 or 65 the 3rd round to be leading by 2. Then she dropped back and she sunk a putt on the last to win the tournament. Otherwise, she would have had to go in a playoff. I mean, 25 foot, she rammed it in the back of the hole.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely girl. She was happy, high-fiving everyone all the way around the golf course, smiling, really eating sweets. I mean,
good for her.
Anyway, well done to Ashley.
Okay.
And we're very proud of you. And we're going to move on to see what we've got in 3 to follow. Right, let's go to the Vaal on Thursday. Remember, Tuesday there was no racing, so we go to the Vaal Thursday, race 2 on the classic track. And we picked up a filly called Bridesmaid Blues, trained by Ashley Fortune. Chase Majan rode this twice over filly, over 1,000, remember. She's out of a Somerose mare, bred by Carver Slay.
Got to go trip.
It's got to go trip. And she was only getting going at the death. So let's go and pick her up at the start, Bridesmaid Blues. Very, very nice run.
Yeah, here she is. There's Bridesmaid Blues, and they're racing, as you can see. Got the white cap, and gets into the race best as he could. The leader is a horse called Naumeria for Paul Matchett. You can see it. It's the red sleeves, the big noseband, and that's the horse. And the other horse showing pace is Flower of Scotland. They run 1 and 2, but the horse we found is in the white cap, just off them, Jim.
Yeah, she's about 5th or 6th. She starts moving through. Flower of Scotland goes up the inside. I love the name. Gerald Sadler owns it.
Yeah.
And this filly runs right past Flower of Scotland with a white cap.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a 3-way bash. Flower of Scotland starts running on the inside. Bridesmaid Blues with the white cap, and then the winner on the outside. Tremendous battle, but I really like the way this filly ran.
Yeah, with that pedigree over this trip, it's a wonderful debut because it's a very tight finish, Jim.
Very tight finish, and certainly we think that she's going to go some ground. I think you've got to pick your spot with her, and she might end up being the right filly next time. She runs in the right race. I think she's going to go a trip, this filly.
Yeah.
Let's go and have a look at the next one. We go to Kenilworth on Saturday. Remember, we had the big Kimberley race day on Saturday as well, which was fun. But Neville Moo, this was trained by Peter Wrench. Nice to be able to pick up a filly of his, Vercingetorix, out of the Royal Academy mare, bred by a Tawny Syndicate. And this looks like quite a nice filly.
Yeah, this is a filly who gets out of her ground quite early on. And Neville Moo's the name. You'll see her, she's at the back. Most of the time she'll be on the left-hand side of the screen. There's plenty of speed out. Lead Singer goes out there quickly. That was the favourite for Justin Snaith. And then Viva Rio's got speed. Grey again showing pace. But the horse we found is two off the left now. Is it the blue colours, Jim?
Blue colours with a red cap. She's in touch now, but I thought not a very balanced ride, and I think that you'll find that she will improve. She's right on the outside, and she's the one closest to us with the yellow, with the red cap,
yes,
and the blue colours.
She can't quicken with them.
No, she can't quicken with them. And you'll watch that she never really balanced. You know, she just looks like...
At her.
While he's at her, that's fine. As soon as he pulls a stick on her, I mean, she's all over the place.
She's going to run near her last year, Jim.
Yeah.
On the outside, the blue colours, Brandon May for Peter Wrench. And I think it was a wet track, Jim, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but watch her now. She starts running on really nicely towards the death, and she ends up getting up to run second. I thought it was a super run. And with stronger handling, she might end up being able to go in.
Vercingetorix,
yeah, Vercingetorix. And the next one we also picked out, I think, is a Vercingetorix as well. We go to Scottsville on Sunday, and the Funzel team had a great day on Sunday. I think Gareth won 1 and Gavin won 3, didn't they?
And Kennedy won 4.
And Kennedy won 4, and 1 for all of them. But let's go and have a look at, this was race 2. Cherry Road won the race. Now, the benefit of this was that if you listen to the Interbet podcast, we pointed out why this filly had a great winning chance. Her time was very good. She ran an incredibly good barrier trial. And I think that the key with the barrier trials is what runs around them, but how they run in the barrier trial. This filly never came off the bit, and she ran a cracking barrier trial.
Yeah.
She was easy to back, but she ended up winning very easily. Let's go and pick her up at the start. Cherry Road, Vercingetorix out of main chance bred Model Man mare, and Edwin Foster owns her. Nice to see him back in racing.
Absolutely. Yeah, this I spoke to Gav about it. He said not the best pins, that's why they got it cheaply. But the dam of this horse here, James, through a very good horse that Edwin owned, I think Gavin Train ran 4th in the July. So they had to buy this family, even though I believe the pins weren't correct. But she's a beautifully top filly. I had a look at her. And she wins well. There's a lot of speed on in the race. Rose Dancer, Yoshida, Karen B, and Coddy Wample for a stage. But you can see her 4 off the right, or is it 5? I don't know. It's 4 off the right, or 3 off the right now, in the red cap.
Well, here she's just getting punched along, but the ones in front look like they've got a measure. And suddenly, when he gives her a smack, she just takes off this filly. You see, he gives her 1 smack, 2 smacks, and she absolutely saunters past them to win very easily. I think there were a lot of horses stopping, and there was one that was running on well from the back of the field. I think there might have been Galway Girl, but that was a tremendous run. Might have been Valley Blue, actually, Puller's horse. I think that's what it was. Worth having a look at next time it runs to. Only had a barrier trial. But 3 nice horses. Let's go and see where are they now.
Hi, I'm Lance Sherrill. I'm an avid racer. Got into the game through my dad, who's mated with a lot of the Natal crowd here, Robert Maingott, as you all well know Robert. Been in the game for a while, had some great success with some nice horses. Most of my horses all with Brett. And yeah, the season's been fantastic. Not as good as we'd have liked this year, but we've got some nice new young ones coming through with Pete and Brett. And we're looking forward to some nice prospects going forward. And I love the racing game. I love the thrill. I love the excitement that goes with it.
have been involved in horse racing in South Africa but have either moved away, immigrated or retired. We want to hear from you. Send us a short 30-second video recording on WhatsApp and we'll flight it on the show. Clips can be sent to either James on 071 588 5769 or Paul on 083 779 1311. We look forward to hearing from you.
Lance Sherrill,
Good lad, Jim.
super guy.
Yeah,
and
good lad.
A great
Yeah.
sportsman. I think he
believe
played for Western Province cricket and rugby. If I'm not wrong. I know that he was a he's a good golfer.
Yeah.
He's got those black and white colours. I think Bold Respect's probably the best horse that they've got
But
at the moment.
He had that great Captain L, that big Captain L that kept winning every Captain
America, yeah.
That was, he's had some very good horses. His father had very good horses.
Reg, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pleased he stayed on the game, and he really is a good guy.
And he's great fun to be around. I mean, that tournament's not the same without those Cape guys.
You've got to have
You've got to have all those Cape guys.
You've got to have every one of them.
Knowles, we deride them. We give them. We only got to give Bass back. But Knowles, there was no buffet left in the morning after breakfast.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it was.
You had to
gone.
beat him, I believe.
Yeah.
You had to beat him down.
Yeah, you had to get to breakfast earlier than him.
Yeah.
That wasn't easy because he knew he had to get his fill.
Now Knowles is a great character, and he brings these guys from Cape Town up with him. They're all fantastic, and they have a go, and they won it. That's what I'm pleased to say.
Good for them. But Kevin Shea won the whole thing, so don't worry about anyone else. Right, let's go and see the plum of the week.
Jesus, awesome, man, kid.
Twice as special, looking for a way through Dark Moon Down. Favourite Miss Jagger's about to come forward. Dark Moon Down goes towards the inside. Twice as special trying to close in. Coming to the 200, Miss Jagger hit the front. Twice as special's trying to close in. Then comes centre stage, but the favourite Miss Jagger hit the front inside the distance. Twice as special's running on, but she had winner stamped all over her. Miss Jagger lands the gamble. Dark Moon Down, twice as special, hope for millions.
Well, the Interbet best bet on the podcast won Miss Jagger, and she was backed in from 22 to 10. You could have got an Interbet on Friday. Ended up 6.5 to 10. Interbet 8 to 10, 9 to 10 even at the time of the race.
Came for it.
Interesting, just talking about Interbet. We've got Adam Marcus is their newest. They're sponsoring Adam Marcus, which is very good for him.
Yes.
And he's going to come into the show and tell us all about his stable and whatever. But nice to see him get a sponsorship like
he's
Interbet.
doing well too.
Yeah, very well. And they're a good bunch of guys, the Marcus team.
Superb bunch, all talented.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our Interbet plum of the week, and it certainly was a plum. You just got to listen to the Interbet podcast. Have your Interbet account, and you get onto it free. We're going to go and have a look at what happened in current affairs, where we got lots of action all over the world.
Hi, my name is Gregory Blank. I'm an ex-stockbroker and involved in private equity and stock markets. But my passion for the last 40 years has been horse racing. I initially started off as an owner. We then got into breeding and then into trading. And obviously by default became a punter. The most exciting part, apart from leading as a winner, is having a winning bet at the same time. Obviously that's not always easy, but with the help of Interbet and their transparent information, it makes trading and betting a lot easier. I've had over 38 Group 1 winners and continue to try to strive for that thrill of having a winner. The thrill of owning a horse and winning a race is indescribable. But if they're serious about it and serious about punting, is to get a leg in and really follow Interbet to the max. It's the only way they can be ahead of the game.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Current Affairs. We've got one race to show you. It was the Goodwood Cup, and that went to Stradivarius, the great stayer over there, owned by a South African. But there's been quite a bit of news around the country, and James, let's just start with Magic Millions, our sponsors here. They've pulled off a coup, getting Frankie Dettori to go in January to go and ride, pick up rides in there, because there's 10 million at stake. He's also going to play polo against Hugh Bowman on the polo. He's got his brother-in-law is going to teach him, and he's going to ride on that when they do the draws, the beach sand. So Frankie's committed to it, and the country are very excited, because the racing public, because he's such a celebrity.
Oh, he's a superstar, and to have him there you just saw that advert that they do, what fun it is. It's a real vibey, upmarket, fantastic time. And I think the Magic Millions sale now is a little earlier. It's in the middle of January, which gives South Africans a chance to go over there, you know. And the big players should be looking to be going over to that sale. And that's certainly one to put in your diary, is Magic Millions. I think it's the week of the 16th of January, which is 2 weeks before the Met, which fits in much better with us. It always used to be the Met
It's in between the Queen's Plate and the Met.
Yeah, which is perfect. And hopefully we'll be able to get some guys out there. What a time you can have. Frankie's a star. And just talking about Frankie won his 12th Group 1 this season. And we're only in August, okay? On Sunday, he won the Prix Maurice de Geest.
Oh, de Geest.
Yeah, is that the
Spirit?
It's a ghost.
You got to have Geest.
Oh, you got Geest, okay. On a horse called Advertise, which is trained by Martin Mead.
Very good horse.
Yeah, very good horse.
Very
good sprinter. Yeah. And that was Frankie's 12th Group 1. And well done.
It's amazing.
I mean, Frankie.
And you know, there's other Group 1s were on. Yeah. The likes of Stradivarius, Enable, horses like that. It's amazing, Jim. Well, Too Darn Hot or something.
Yeah, we'll end up Too Darn Hot. Yeah, that was another one.
Frankie's rides.
Frankie, we'll end up watching him Stradivarius. I mean, that's just the coolest car.
How old is Frankie? Do you know? I saw it today when I saw he was going to.
I would say that Frankie is 44.
48.
48.
Frankie's 48, and he's going over to, as I say, to Magic Millions, which is a coup.
When I worked in England, his father, Gianfranco Dettori, was a top rider there. He won the 2,000 guineas on something. I can't remember what it was, but I remember
Gianfranco and Lanfranco.
Yeah. Gianfranco and Lanfranco.
Lanfranco is Frankie. Yeah, amazing personality. He's done so much for the sport, especially in the UK.
And you know, he's just fun to be around. I know we've been around him. I don't know him very well, but I've been around him at a lot of parties, and he's...
He rode a winner for both of us.
Great guy, you know. It's one of my defining moments in life that Frankie rode a winner for me. I
remember he rode it here at Gravel for Phil Chivers, and he's painted the favourite. And I remember him sadly, he said, "Don't put the saddle too far forward, my boy." I said, no problem, Frankie. He won.
Well, what happened when I won with him was when he had the piles, he came out to ride London News.
The piles?
Yeah, he got piles and he couldn't ride London News in the Met.
Oh,
you remember
okay,
they flew
yes,
Dougie White
yes,
out to ride
yes,
it in the
yes.
Met. That he came to ride London News in the Met. And he stopped off in Johannesburg and rode a horse called Telegraph for me in a 1.5 mile race.
Yes.
And I just said to him, it will win, because it was a good thing. Anyway, he had pictures taken, this and the other, and the whole lot. And I phoned him and said to him, or his agent in England said, could we get some pictures? Next thing, 6 pictures arrived signed by Frankie.
Fantastic.
Okay? 6, he sent us 6 colour pictures. One was in the Randkiersfontein clubhouse.
Yes.
And got burnt down, unfortunately,
But,
so that's gone.
yeah, that's
I've
right,
got one of them in my possession, which is fabulous to have.
Hey, sure.
Paul de Karma, Graham Hawkins owned the horse.
Okay.
We bought it at Grant Maroon's, John Maroon's sale. They had a dispersal sale, the Maroon boys.
Yes.
And we bought this horse Telegraph, and he was quite a nice star. Anyway, Frankie won on it. That's one of the highlights of my life was to
Frankie,
see that.
sure.
Shall we go? Because it was Goodwood. Let's go and have a look at the winner of the Cup, the Goodwood Cup, Stradivarius. And this horse is just on a roll. He's set to go and collect another £1 million. He won the £1 million for the British Stayers Championship. He's got to go and win the 3rd leg.
Yeah.
He'll win it again. Let's go and watch this race with Frankie up on Stradivarius.
They're off. Harpo Marx in the dark blue is a stride slower than the other 8 runners to get away from the starting stalls for this Qatar Goodwood Cup, as Wells Fargo, a blue jacket and a red cap, moves through to have the advantage early on. David Allen setting the pace. Right in behind him is the nose-banded Dashing Willoughby, has already won the Best Turned Out award, and the silver colours of DXB is behind those in 3rd. And this Wells Fargo is 6-7 lengths ahead in the early strides of the race. Cross counter in blue, Stradivarius a yellow cap. They race together. They're in 4th and 5th position. Southern France is a neck ahead then of South Pacific, and their stablemate Harpo Marx is a length behind those. And Wells Fargo, David Allen going to a long lead now as he's coming to the 1.5 mile start and right-handed turn. He'd be 15 lengths ahead of the others, running right-handed now and beginning to run uphill for a while. Dashing Willoughby holds 2nd position. DXB is around about a length behind him in 3rd. There'd be 3 to 4 lengths then to Cross Counter and James Dawes showing in 5th place. Frankie's dropped Stradivarius a couple of lengths behind him, holding 6th position as they begin the run away on the far side of the course. They're followed through them by South Pacific and Southern France together, and Harpo Marx, who is fractionally slower than the others away from the starting stalls, continues to be the back marker. So Wells Fargo heads away down the far side of the course and heading him on towards the halfway stage of the Qatar Goodwood Cup, and he continues to have a very long lead over his rivals. He's at least 10 lengths ahead, if a lot more than that. Dashing Willoughby and Sheen Murphy in 2nd position. The silver jacket is Sylvester de Souza on DXB holding 3rd. The blue colours for James Doyle on Cross Counter, then Stradivarius going for a hat-trick in the race. Yellow cap for Frankie shows at the moment in 5th position. Purple cap behind him is Southern France and Ryan Moore. A white cap for Wayne Lorden on South Pacific, who's level now with his stablemate Harpo Marx Andret Zeni in dark blue. Right down towards the bottom end of the course, uphill, and they really are catching Wells Fargo now. He has a lead of 5 lengths, and that appears to be diminishing all the time. Dashing Willoughby in 2nd position, just a length or so behind him to DXB in 3rd. 3 lengths or so to Cross Counter, continues to hold 4th. 2 lengths off him is Stradivarius, and as they round the turn heading towards the home straight, Southern France, South Pacific and Harpo Marx continues to be the back marker, and Harpo Marx is being ridden along. So about to move the last bit of the turn into the straight, down now towards the final 3 furlongs, and Wells Fargo continues with the red cap to have the advantage, reduced one, but he's still in front. Dashing Willoughby in 2nd, DXB being ridden along in 3rd. Look to the right, the blue is Cross Counter. Right behind him is Stradivarius. In behind those goes then is Southern France as they head down now with a little over 2 furlongs to go. Cross counter, Stradivarius on the right, produced with his challenge. DXB is battling on well there, and behind those is Dashing Willoughby. Now Stradivarius, Frankie Dettori in the yellow cap come down the outside. He goes past cross counter. DXB is with those as well. They're heading towards the last 100 yards. Stradivarius in front. This is going to be an impressive victory for him. It'll be 3 Goodwood Cups in a row. Stradivarius again, he beats DXB. Cross counter in 3rd position. Looks like a very narrow 4th for Southern France.
Wow, Jim. The absolute ride, you know, sitting, as you said, sitting dead still and waiting, and then putting them to sword.
Yeah, it's just fabulous. 3rd Goodwood Cup this horse has won. He's by See the Stars, and his 3rd dam is a mare called Pawnees. Now, if you remember Pawnees, she was one of the best staying mares
I've got
around.
Pawnees.
Yeah.
You know, very poor knees. Have you seen me walk?
I've seen your
Oh my
Pawnees,
God,
yeah.
I wasn't got poor knees.
Yeah, well, Pawnees
I remember
was
Pawnees, Jim.
Pawnees was the 3rd dam, okay?
Yes.
I think she was one of the Wildenstein mares.
Yes.
And he bred this horse, our man Bjorn Nielsen.
Yes.
And his start in racing was Sea Cottage.
Yeah,
if you
it
read
was
his
his
story, he
influence,
loved
yeah.
Sea Cottage.
Yes.
And he's made his life about racing, and he's lucky enough to have a horse like this. The best part of it is he says he's going to race him again next year.
It's
He
fantastic.
says if things keep going, he's going to race him again next year, because he said, where can he go to stud? He's going to end up a national hunt stallion. That's what happens. You look at Yates, same thing, national hunt stallion. So he'd like to race him another year, which I think is great. You know, that's absolutely fabulous. The terrible news of the week was Deep Impact died. And Deep Impact... He was the stallion, the Sunday Silence's son, who actually conquered Japan and has conquered the world. You know, we've got a Deep Impact now in South Africa.
Coolmore send mares, and didn't Winks go to him?
Winks is in fold to him. Okay,
there you go.
So that's fabulous. He is 7-time champion sire in Japan. He won. His sons won 5 Japanese derbies, which is their premier race, and he bred 42 Group 1 winners. Now, interesting about his family, he's by Sunday Silence, out of a mare called Wind in Her Hair. She ran 2nd in the Epsom Oaks, okay? But her family is that famous Nashwan family, Highclere and all of that. So here's a pedigree that is steeped in stamina. But he produces horses that win everywhere. All types of horses. Produces champion 2-year-olds, champion 3-year-olds. Little horse. There was a little documentary done on him, which we'll try and get. The trouble is that the music wouldn't be allowed because it's not on YouTube. You know, it's one of those things. And he was just elastic. I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful horse. And the big news for the Japanese was the Nassau was run on Thursday at Goodwood, which is the big fillies race. And Deirdre, the Japanese filly, won it. She's not by him. She's by Heart's Cry. But she won the Nassau.
There's some good horses coming out. We saw in Dubai as well.
Yeah, well, she's run into Dubai, Deirdre. But I think the ground suited her much better. Now, she was stabled at Abingdon Place.
Okay, yes.
Jessica and Mary's place.
That's right,
And across the road, Gosden got beaten. Medinau got beaten by this filly. And he said, yeah, he sees her across the road. Jane Chapelheim looks after those horses. So, you know, wonderful to see. McKinsey won the Whitney because we've got Saratoga at the moment, 5 weeks of Saratoga, which is fabulous. So when you watch a show, you'll have watched Saratoga before this, which is great. And there's some wonderful racing. Bob Baffert, first Whitney he's ever won, Mike Smith. And Thunder Snow was scratched, so it made it very much easier for him. What else we got?
Hermoso Mundo, did you watch that?
Hermoso Mundo, he ran at Goodwood.
He ran a
He's
good
had
race.
2 runs, Sean Singleton told me, and he's just starting to come. His first 2 runs weren't that great, but he ran a very, very good race indeed.
He ran a very good race. I was impressed with him because he sat up near the speed, quick into it the front, and stayed on well. I thought it was a good run by Hermoso Mundo.
Oh, he'll definitely win for them. You know, that's the best company you can find in England. What else we got? Too Darn Hot won the Dabawi out of Daremi, won the Sussex, Frankie, Gosden and Frankie, and is going for the Breeders' Cup Mile.
Sure.
The Breeders' Cup's going to be something else
Gonna be
this year.
something
I mean,
else,
it's going to
yeah.
be
I
absolutely
know they've
fabulous.
changed plans with Enable. They're going for the Yorkshire Oaks now.
Well, yeah, she goes for the Yorkshire Oaks, and then she's going for the Arc after that. So she's definitely going for the Arc.
Yeah.
Just talking about Australia, and we unfortunately haven't got the horse up that won. We had a winner in Australia, Magic Millions.
Oh,
horse.
yeah, Graduate.
Yeah, Graduate from Australia. But Bolt Aura has arrived there, and Star Spangled Banner both arrived as shuttle stallions. Bolt Aura is a horse that interests me hugely. I think he's going to be a very good
When you
stallion.
say the shuttling...
Shuttling from America to Australia.
Australia.
So they've arrived for the season. And I was reading a very interesting article on I'm Invincible. It's in this week's TDN, Australia.
Our boys.
Harry and the Harry and Arthur Mitchell, okay, and how the whole thing came about, and how they put their heads down and bought a half share in this horse because they loved the way he looked, and he's repaid them,
tenfold,
hundreds, thousands fold, because and they deserve it. I mean, they're two of the best guys you could ever meet in Australia. If you ever want to buy a horse in Australia, you always go and look at Yarraman Park barn first. That's where we go, because these guys are straight down the middle, and they're the greatest guys that have ever been. And even Bill trained a horse for me.
Yeah, Bill
Mitchell.
That's right.
Anyway, we out of it. Is there anything more that you wanted to mention?
Nothing at all.
We're going to go and have a look at Pat Day documentary, which is quite interesting, and he talks quite frankly about his life and times, and some of you will really enjoy it. So let's go and see Pat Day.
I'm Todd Schrupp. Welcome to this evening's edition of TVG's Legends. Our guest tonight is Hall of Fame rider Pat Day, one of the most intuitive and accomplished riders in thoroughbred racing history. As a matter of fact, he enjoyed success almost immediately on the racetrack, but there was a huge void off of it. In fact, there was a moment in 1984 that would alter the course of his life. Tonight, Gary Stevens sits down to talk with Pat Day about his career and the moment that changed everything.
Pat, I want to welcome you to the Legends Show. You are a legend, and it's only fitting that we have you here today.
Well, it's a joy to be on with you, and as you were just sharing with me some of the others that you've done, I'm keeping awful good company.
First of all, let's just start out with what was your background in horse riding or horse racing?
Well, I started riding for fun when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was raised in a small ranching farming community in Colorado. My dad was a body and fender repairman by trade, but he wanted us kids to have responsibilities, so he bought a little place out in the country, and we had a couple of ponies and a milk cow and chickens, and all of us kids had responsibilities, had chores to do. But subsequently, we learned how to ride early. And my dad, bless his heart, he wanted us to learn how to ride the horse, not the saddle. So the first probably 3 or 4 years I was riding, I had to ride bareback, which I think was a great asset in obviously what turned out to be my life.
Do you remember your first race? Can you remember it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't remember the horse's name, but I was on the lead. I couldn't even hold my stick. I had to put my stick with a rubber band. I couldn't twirl my stick. Barely knew how to cross my lines. And filly broke sharp and went to the lead, and she was on the lead about probably inside the 8th pole, and then a horse ran by me and won the race. An older rider, a guy named Lyle Murray, And he came to me afterwards and he said, there was no way I could let you break your maiden first race out. He said, you got to learn how to ride first.
What was the personal life like at that time? I mean, just as you're starting to win some races and have a bit of success on down the road, what was life like?
I'm not really proud of that aspect of my life. First of all, to have that sort of success that quick, I didn't appreciate it. You know, when you have to work hard for something, maybe you appreciate it a little bit more, and I wasn't appreciating it. I was taking it all for granted. You know, I thought I could do that all day, run all night, gallop horses in the morning, ride in the afternoon, and that's what I was doing. And I was drinking every night, you know, just partying, just crazy. But there was just something missing in my life, and then in 1982, I was in a position to be leading rider in the country. And I thought, man, that's the answer. You know, the world would have you to believe that once you reach a certain level of success, once you get the corner office and the six-figure income, that you're going to be happy. And that was me. I thought, wow, if I can be leading rider in the country, that will satisfy this gnawing inside of me. And as the Lord would have it, I secured the national riding title. In 1983, I was leading rider again. And in 1984, my wife and I were vacationing in Colorado with my family. I boarded a plane, flew to Miami, Florida on the 27th of January, got into Miami late in the evening, and when I was all ready to go to bed, well, what was on TV wasn't really interesting to me. Jimmy Swaggart, who was a very successful television evangelist, preacher out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was having a televised crusade. Yeah, I didn't think that's what I wanted or what I needed. I thought at that time in my life that Christianity or religion was for women and children and wimps. It was not for a successful man. So I ran through the channels. Nothing really got my attention. Flipped the TV off and went to bed. Immediately went into a very deep sleep and slept so sound that when I awoke, I thought I'd been sleeping for 6 or 7 hours. Thought I'd been sleeping all night. But I awoke to the distinct feeling that I was not by myself in that hotel room. And I sat upright and looked around, couldn't see anything, but I could feel a definite presence there with me. Now, I don't know if at that point, Gary, if the Lord prompted me to get up and turn the TV on, or if I'd done that thinking, man, let me turn the TV on, rid myself of these feelings. But I walked over, turned the TV set on, and as the picture materialized on the screen, I realized immediately that, number one, I hadn't been sleeping very long, because Jimmy Swaggart was still on TV. And it was right at that point in the program when he's completed delivering his message of salvation and is having an altar call for anybody and everybody that would like to invite Christ into their heart. And at that moment, it was like the spiritual scales were removed from my eyes. And I could see, I recognized, realized that the presence there with me was the Spirit of the living God. And this was my personal altar call. And I knew that that's what I was lacking, that that's what I wanted, that that's what I needed. Much in the way that all of my writing is intuitive. It was a God-given talent, a God-given gift. I just knew what to do. I just knew that that's what I wanted. And I fell on my face and wept and cried and invited Christ into my heart, never to be the same again.
Your career has sort of paralleled the Breeders' Cup World Championships. That's the year that it all started. And there was a historic race, the very first Breeders' Cup Classic. Wild Again, Gate Dancer, and I believe it was Slew of Gold. With your old man, Angel Cordero, another legend, coming down the stretch. Tell me what that race felt like.
I'm in the jocks room, I believe it was on a Wednesday. The overnight came in, or Thursday, whatever day it was that they drew the entries for Breeders' Cup. And the overnight came in the jocks room, and every horse had a rider named on him. As I'm going down through there looking at all the entries, everybody's got a rider named on him except Wild Again. Well, I had ridden him before. Earlier that year, I won the New Orleans handicap on him, won the Oakland handicap on him, and I said, wow, maybe I can make the mount on this horse. So I go running to the front of the jocks room, and you know how Hollywood Park is laid out with the clerk of scales desk and office right inside the door. Well, I come running in from the jocks room. Well, coming in from the outside is Bill Ellen, one of the principal owners, and Vincent Tiffany. And when they came, our eyes met as we came in the door, and he said, would you? And I said, could I? And I mean, it was there. And I went out and blew him out on Friday morning. He worked well. But I'll be very honest with you, I thought he was up against it. We broke, run into the race. Mugatia was in the race with Terry Lipham. He was in there as a rabbit for Slew of Gold. He was going to ensure a realistic pace. And we went under the wire, and Mugatia was running along there, and I'm outside looking at him, and he ducked out, just going under the wire the first time. When he ducked out, well, Wild Again ducked away from him. And when he done that, well, I grabbed him to straighten him up, just a reflex move. When I did, he locked on, run off. Run by Mugatia going into the first turn. I'm thinking, this isn't going well. You know, we can't be running along like this and expect to win. And so they're all the way up the backside and around the far turn. I'm trying to talk him off of it, trying to hold him in because he never turned me loose. He kept wanting to bear out and bear out and bear out. We come to the head of the stretch and Slew of Gold run to me with a head of steam. And as he came to me, I thought, well, that's it. I really expected Wild again to throw in the towel. I expected him to cave in. When Slew of Gold got right to him, he just refused. I've never before since been on a horse that tried any harder than he did from the quarter pole to the wire. It was amazing. I could hear him grunt every time he pushed off. It was like when you listen to the lineman when the ball is snapped before they hit each other. That's the way he was every jump. And I'm trying to hold him in. Slew of Gold run to us, and we're going down the stretch, and then here come Gate Dancer on the outside with Lafitte. And it was an awesome horse race. And I'm just trying to keep Wild again. He's giving me all he's got. I'm trying to hold him in, keep him running. When we went under the wire, I didn't know if I'd won or not.
Right.
And galloped out and come back, and of course all the numbers are flashing, but mine's at the top of the board. Now I don't have a clue whether they're going to leave it up or not. I knew there had been some jostling, some bumping and pushing down there late in the stretch. I knew that Angel had steadied on Slew of Gold in the middle. Not real sure just how it was going to play out.
You didn't use the whip at all, did you?
Slapped him one time down over the shoulder.
One time down the shoulder.
Yeah.
That was just one in many times that Pat Day just sat there patient and almost like you were teasing the competition, encouraging them to either come up on you or you were sitting a half a length back on. And throughout the years, me even watching as a spectator, if I wasn't riding in the race, when's he going to move on this horse? Did it faze you at all that you were causing heart attacks, possible heart attacks to owners, trainers, bettors? Were you ever conscious of that during a race, or just doing what you felt?
It was part of that God-given talent, Gary, an ability to communicate with the horses. Horses were willing and responsive to me and for me, and just an intuitiveness of knowing how much I had, when to call on them. I've got no plausible answer for that.
I'm going to skip forward a little bit. You rode a great horse named Easy Goer. Did you know before you rode him for the first time that he was going to be something special?
I really didn't. I'd never been on him, and appreciated Mr. McGahee Shug giving us the opportunity. He told us he thought he was something special, and I was just playing off of that. I got him beat the first time he ran. Not having ever been on him, not knowing what kind of acceleration he had, or anything really about him, except that Shug was pretty keen on him. We broke. We're in the middle of the pack, and he's handling everything like a pro. But I was unsure just how responsive he was going to be. Didn't seem like he was too enthusiastic about the work at hand, and so I pulled the trigger a little early, not realizing that I was going to get the response that I did. When I called on him, he exploded, and now we're running, and I was, at that point, felt like I was committed to go on. Concerned about letting him down and confusing him, start, stop, and so I went on, and he got beat the last couple of jumps. The horse come and got him right at the wire. But probably, without a doubt, the best horse I ever rode.
Leading up to that Kentucky Derby, I believe it was 1989, with Sunday Silence, his main adversary. They hadn't faced each other. Did you feel going in that this was going to be your Derby, that this was your best opportunity to win a Kentucky Derby? I
thought, I knew I was very well mounted, but my concern was with the track conditions. We'd gotten beaten a Breeders' Cup Juvenile as a 2-year-old on the same kind of racetrack. And I just kept telling myself, well, he's grown up, he's matured, he'll handle it, he'll be fine. The track is getting better through the course of the day. It's getting faster, it's getting tighter. It's not the sticky peanut butter substance consistency that it had been when he'd gotten beat as a 2-year-old. I kept telling myself all these things. But as he was warming up, and I wasn't real comfortable, real confident at that point, just because of the way he was responding. And then, of course, in the race, he in my opinion, never got out of second gear. Was hard-ridden to get him to extend as much as he did. Very uncomfortable on the footing, just wouldn't extend himself, and just testimony to his talent and ability that he was able to run second.
when Legends returns.
When I went under the wire, this feeling that had started from way down deep inside just erupted, and it was absolutely the greatest thrill I've ever had in racing.
Easy Goer and Sunday Silence going nose and nose in the Preakness. Sunday Silence, Easy Goer. Here's the finish. Sunday Silence wins it by a nose.
We come back in the Preakness 2 weeks later, and to me, probably the greatest stretch battle that I'd witnessed, and to this day still. I mean, I was in some great battles, some head-and-head battles, but with Sunday Silence on the outside and you down on the inside.
I felt miserable immediately after the race because he should never got beat, in my opinion. Yeah, it was absolutely rider error. He kind of hopped at the brake, didn't get away real clean, got a little anxious going into the first turn. I mean, he was tugging on me pretty hard, and I was right behind Sunday Silence. And when we turned up the backside, I opted to come out a little bit and give him his head, let him settle into stride, and you know, just to let him get comfortable. And when I run up alongside of Sunday Silence, well, P. Val looked over and seen Big Red, and he decided that he wanted my part of the racetrack and started to carry me to the outside. And at that moment, that's where I made the tactical mistake. You know, rather than taking into consideration that if I'm 12 wide, he's got to be 11 wide, it angered me that he would be doing something like that in this race. Just ride your race. You know, you don't have to play cutesy with me. And Easy Goer was wanting to run, so I let him run. And when P. Val knew that I was going to try to get the jump on him and push him back down into where he belonged, he let Sunday Silence run. I've never put the clock on the tape, but I guarantee you we zinged him up the backside. I mean, we're running, and as a tandem, as a pair. But I got in front of him and eased him back down to the inside. We're getting to the turn, and Angel Cordero was on a real fast horse called Houston for Wayne Lucas. I don't think you could put Houston in a trailer and drag him 1 1/8 miles. It was just too far. You know, he was a real anxious, you know, free-running kind of horse, and Angel had his feet in the dashboard trying to slow him down. And so when he got to the turn, he didn't change leads and drop into the turn smoothly. He went straight a couple of jumps. Easy Goer changed leads, Sunday Silence changed leads, and when I dropped in and Houston went straight, Sunday Silence had to check. My momentum carried me on up to and past Houston by the 3/8 pole. So now I figured, well, Sunday Silence would come back to me shortly. You know, he'll come back, but I didn't think he would get back to me till I got into the stretch. So I let Easy Goer go ahead and take a breather. And so we're cruising past Houston, and almost immediately, Sunday Silence is on us. P. Val's got blood in his eyes. I mean, he's upset. He thinks for sure that I just shut him off. And so now he's got the jump on me. And he bumped me several times, pushed me right down on top of the fence. If you go back and watch the race, Houston actually had to steady off my heels. He banged me down to the fence. And now we're in a position that Easy Goer's never been in. I mean, he's not used to being down in, pushed and banged. And so he's a little hesitant. And we come off the turn, and he's real slow about changing leads. And about the 8th pole, he finally changed over to his correct lead, and we inched in front of Sunday Silence, and I thought, wow, that's it. We'll just go on and win the race. And about that time, his legs just went rubber. I mean, he'd emptied out. You know, he ran too hard up the backside, got just a little short breather around the turn, and then Easy Goer or Sunday Silence was on him, and I mean, he's fighting hard, but his legs, there's nothing left. He's giving me all he's got. And at that point, I thought, well, Sunday Silence is banging and bumping on me. I said, let me see if I can initiate a little something here. Maybe if I while I've got the advantage, let me come out and bump him a little bit.
The green light's already there.
Oh, yeah. You know, if I come out and bump him a little bit, maybe I can maintain my advantage to the wire, because the wire wasn't coming quick enough. Sunday Silence was inching back past us. And I turned his head out, you know, tried to get him to come out into Sunday Silence. His head turned, bless his heart, he was tired. He just turned his head and stayed the same. His body never turned. and Sunday Silence got us at the wire. Absolutely rider error. If I'd have let him just cruise up the backside, P-Val put me where he wants to, he'd have run away from me going in the turn because Sunday Silence accelerated and run around the turn like a hoop around a barrel. But Big Red, he'd have got his feet up underneath of him, leaving a 3/8 pole, and there's no doubt in my mind that he'd have run by him in the stretch. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
You come back in the Belmont Stakes 3 weeks later, win the Belmont. Was there some sort of elation for you? I mean, did that justify your defeat in the Preakness?
Did I feel good that he won the race, that he showed what he could do? He caught a racetrack that he liked and you know, that he was comfortable and confident over? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I've always thought and continue to believe that pound for pound he was a better horse than Sunday Silence. But the record doesn't bear that out.
Everyone knows, well documented, how much you wanted to win a Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs, that's Pat Dayland, that's your home. When you finally won it with Little T, tell me about that race and the feelings when you crossed the finish line and it was Pat Day and Little E.T.'s Kentucky Derby.
The feeling was so enormous. And as I finally passed that guy, Gary Stevens, on Casual Lies down there late in the stretch, and I realized that victory was possibly within my grasp, I was working hard at that point just to maintain my focus and not think about that. I just put it, you know, just kept driving, kept riding. But when I went under the wire, this feeling that had started from way down deep inside just erupted, and it was absolutely the greatest thrill I've ever had in racing, and absolutely indescribable.
It was worth the wait.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Is there one race that sticks out that you're most proud of, that either strategy-wise or you just rode the perfect race?
Oh, I think Wild Again in the Classic. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and forgive me if it sounds like I'm bragging, but because of the combination of things, not the least of which was the confidence that I had derived from my relationship with the Lord, and it gave me the confidence to extend that to Wild Again. I don't think there was another man that could have rode Wild Again and won on him that day.
I'm not going to argue with you there. What was your biggest strength as a rider?
Oh, I believe that my greatest strength as a rider was the ability to communicate with the horse and to get along with him. I had read one time Eddie Arcaro was they were talking to him about the difference between him and Shoemaker, and Eddie said unequivocally, he said, "I am a smarter, stronger, better rider than Shoemaker, but horses want to run for Shoe, and I have to make them run." And I found that to be true for me. Horses were willing to do what I wanted them to do when I wanted them to do it.
Were there any weaknesses? Now that neither one of us are riding anymore, I don't think there were too many weaknesses, but in Pat Day's mind, were there any weaknesses as a rider?
I rode my worst races when I thought too long and too hard. When I tried to strategize, and it inevitably happened when I was around Jerry Bailey, because I believe of all the riders that I rode with on a regular basis, he was probably the most intelligent. He was able to put together a game plan and then implement it. And I would see him doing this, and I thought, well, I need to do that. And when I would try to do that, I'd fail.
You rode for so many great trainers throughout your career, but I think for a lot of people out there, Wayne Lucas and Pat Day, your names are linked. You rode so many great young horses for him, fillies and colts. What was your racing relationship with Wayne? What was that like?
We had a love-hate relationship, you know, like Wayne has, I think, with all riders. We had a great deal of success, and I can't thank Wayne enough for the opportunities that he gave me to ride some really nice horses in some major races, and you know, it was he's a great horseman, and like I said, we had a bit of a love-hate relationship. He'd fire me, I'd fire him. We'd get back together and continue on.
Was there one particular rider, anyone, that you loved hooking up with in the stretch?
Not really. Not really. I mean, you know, the top riders, certainly, you know, you wanted to put it on them, but one day here at Churchill Downs, and it was the last race of the day, Derby Day. I don't recall who I'd run in the Derby. It's been 4, 5, 6 years ago, I guess. But Robbie Alvarado, and I love Robbie, and I got the utmost respect for him, and certainly a great rider and winning all the races in the country right now. But that day he run to me at the top of the stretch, and I think I'd only ridden 9 that day or something. You know, it was one of them long days, and it was later in my career. And anyhow, we hooked up the top of the stretch. He run by me about a neck or a half a length, and I went to work on this old horse, and he got back past him right at the wire, and I looked over at him. I looked over at him pulling up, and I said, you know, when an old man who's down, and I'd pulled my back out earlier in the week throwing garbage out, if you can imagine that. But I'd been, you know, I was hurting a little bit. I said, when an old man that's broke down like me whips you like that, I said, maybe you ought to retire. Just jerk, you know, just messing with him. But it was a great life. It was a great life.
When we come back, I'll have my closing thoughts on the man they referred to as Patient Pat Day. Shortly after Pat Day retired, I had the privilege to host an event by the Turf Publicists of America. It was to give him one of many awards he had received over the years, but one called the Big Sport of Turfdom Award. The award would go to someone who represented thoroughbred racing in a positive light. And looking back at it, it was really looking at the entire career of Pat Day and how he represented himself in the sport. When he got up to accept the award, he took the opportunity once again to testify. Many times Pat Day was called to ride, but throughout his career, he realized there was a higher calling.
There's no joy like the joy of leading somebody into the knowledge of the saving grace of Jesus Christ. Races come and races go, but eternity is a long time.
I'm Todd Schrupp. Thank you for watching Legends.